The big dig continues as the city works to clean up after the weekend's record-setting snowfall. Crews now moving into the next stage, removing large amounts of snow from city streets. Good afternoon. The City of Toronto says crews will need several days to fully clean up from the major storm that buried the region under nearly 60 centimeters of snow.
Residents, too, are still working to clear snow on narrow residential streets, and they're running out of room to put it all. City officials provided an update on their snow clearing efforts this morning.
We understand that in some of the spaces it's really quite narrow, and there's literally no space to put where there's snow, and then you add in the bins, okay? So that makes it really difficult, which is why the snow removal is really important. We will start with all the major roads, with the TTC stops all across the city. We'll remove snow all around that area first, and then we'll go into the local streets.
Our expressways were functioning well this morning. Our arterial roads have more capacity thanks to the overnight plowing that we did to open up curb lanes. Our TTC colleagues, and I want to say a big word of thanks to them, worked tirelessly, as the mayor said, to make sure that transit was more operational this morning for that morning commute. So we continue to make progress as we work through this major snow event.
We will have more on the city's efforts in just a moment. But first, we take a live look at the city this afternoon and can't see much of the skyline. Amid this cleanup effort, we also have extremely cold conditions, the potential for blowing snow. Are we in for a dumping of snow? No, but there are flurries in the forecast. Jessica Smith is here with all the current conditions. Jess.
Michelle, it is absolutely freezing outside. We're not under the cold warning anymore here in the city of Toronto or across the GTA, but it doesn't mean we escaped the very, very cold temperatures. And now the lake effect snow machine coming from a different direction, meaning heavier snow along those eastern shorelines of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. We won't escape it, though, here in the city. And as you mentioned, we could still see a few flurries flying as we head throughout the afternoon. But you can see that big plume of cold air continues to sit over the majority of Ontario with no relief in sight. The good news is into next week, we do see a slight return to more seasonal temperatures. But it remains cold, and we do have some snow squall watches and warnings in place, along with special weather statements for blowing snow almost everywhere except for the GTA. But again, it doesn't mean we escape it. It just means we aren't in warning or watch criteria. It is going to be very cold, though, the further kind of southwest you go as you head throughout your afternoon. And we're looking at winds becoming westerly and very gusty into the second half of our day. We're watching again for heavier snow through Goderich, Owen Sound, and in towards Cottage Country. For us here in the city, the cleanup efforts continue, but with it being so cold, that snow becomes really hard and solid. We are sitting right now through the islands at -11, feeling like -20. The same through Pearson. This afternoon, -8, feeling like -17, but that westerly wind is going to be aggressive. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast, and we will talk about the long-range forecast where there is moderate relief in sight. I'll throw things back inside.
Thank you, Jessica. And let's bring in CTV's Natalie Johnson now with more on how residents are coping with the snow cleanup. Natalie, wasn't a snow day today. A lot of people had to venture out, and it was tricky navigating at times. There's just so much snow out there.
Absolutely, Michelle. A very slow drive for residents all over the city today. A lot of plowing has been done, but a lot of the residential streets especially are down to just one lane in both directions, meaning a lot of cars were having to slow down, pull over, try to make room for other vehicles. You know, you add to that the fact that it was garbage pickup day in some parts of the city. You've got big trucks trying to navigate those smaller roads. I saw delivery trucks out and about on the way here this morning, also struggling with all of that snow. We heard just a few moments ago that update from the mayor and the city manager. City officials were here this morning at the Hillcrest TTC yard providing an update on the city's snow removal operations. On the TTC side, they had about 1,000 workers trying to clear the tracks and the transit routes overnight. On the other side, you had about 1,300 city workers and contractors supporting snow removal. They've really done the bulk of the plowing at this point, and the next challenge will be moving to the snow removal side of things. They did some last night around the hospitals, but that is going to get going in earnest beginning tomorrow. The city manager saying they were able to secure a 6th dumping site for all of that snow. But as you mentioned, residents, meanwhile, are still trying to make their way through the city. Here's more from a few of them this morning.
Good job done. City was working very hard. We understand that. You can't be in one place, in 10 places at the same time. So, patience.
I'm pacing myself. As it was coming down every 3 or 4 inches, I'd come out, shovel it, wait about an hour or 2, 3, come back out again, and keep hydrated, and it works out pretty good.
So again, much of that snow removal will get underway tomorrow, especially on the smaller residential roads. Again, a lot of this has happened around hospitals already. Residents who live on these smaller local roads will be communicated to by members of city crews. They might get a knock at the door or flyer in the mailbox alerting them to the fact that snow removal operations will be happening on their street. At that time, it is likely that they'll have to move their cars off the road. There could be friendly towing operations in effect as well, depending on the street. But again, all of that expected to start tomorrow. City officials reminding residents that this will take several days. That's it from now. I'm Natalie Johnson. Nathan and Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Natalie. In York Region, police continue to search for suspects after a fatal daylight shooting at a Vaughan Plaza yesterday. Police responded to a commercial area near Weston and Colossal Drive around 1 p.m. A man was taken to hospital with multiple gunshot wounds but did not survive.
We know this area would have been busy with vehicle and pedestrian traffic given the time of day. We are appealing to anyone who may have seen anything, heard anything, or captured any dash cam video footage to please contact our investigators, or if you wish to remain anonymous, contact Crime Stoppers. This investigation is a targeted incident, and there's no immediate threat to the public.
Investigators say they believe the incident was targeted. The suspect vehicle is described as a black SUV, matching the description of a vehicle that was found on fire nearby. Anyone with information is asked to contact police.
2 men have been charged with murder after a senior was found dead inside a Toronto apartment building last month. Police were called to an address in the St. Clair and Rushton Road area back on December 9th. They found 79-year-old Yolin Kuhn dead in one of the units. Her cause of death has not been released, but investigators say an autopsy determined she was the victim of homicide. 38-year-old Kareem Hines and 38-year-old Ashton Drysdale have both been charged with first-degree murder in her death. This investigation is ongoing, and anyone who might have information is asked to contact police. The search is underway for a suspect after an altercation on the subway yesterday evening left one person fighting for their life.
Investigators say the suspect and victim were on board a northbound train when they became involved in a physical altercation that spilled into Wellesley Station. CB24's Steve Ryan joins us now live with more at Toronto Police Headquarters. And Steve, you spoke with police about this.
Yeah, I did, Nathan, and they are actively looking for the suspect. They released his picture very quickly, and they often do that if they have concerns that this person could be a threat to public safety. So generally speaking, 2 people can consent to a fight. But once bodily harm occurs as a result of that fight, that crosses into the world of criminality. And in this particular case, as you mentioned, that altercation started on the northbound subway, and it continued once both parties got off at Wellesley. And as a result of the fight continuing, police allege that the suspect repeatedly kicked the victim, and now he is fighting for his life. Now, we did speak with the police earlier on today, and here's what they suggested if, in fact, you happen to recognize or see this man whose photo the police just released. Let's listen.
Just keep an eye out. He obviously takes TTC, and he did get off at Wellesley Station, so just keep an eye out. We did release the photo so everyone knows what he does look like, so if they do see someone who matches his description, just call police.
Police are looking for witnesses, so if you have information pertaining to this assault yesterday on the northbound train near Wellesley, give the police a call. And if you recognize this man, or you think you know where he or who he is, or where he may be staying, living, or working, give the police a call. They'll follow up on every lead. Send it back to you guys.
Thank you, CP24 Steve Ryan, for us outside police headquarters this afternoon. Peel Police, meantime, are investigating a suspicious fire at a house for sale in South Mississauga overnight. Emergency crews were called to the home on Water's Edge Road near Lakeshore and Southdown Road. Mississauga Fire says flames in the garage had spread to the attic of this home. Everyone inside was able to get out and no one was injured. The fire has now been extinguished, but police say this is being investigated as arson.
And staying in Mississauga, a 23-year-old man is facing several drug charges after an alleged hit and run. Police say Nitin Malik of Brampton was involved in the crash. It happened at Hurontario and Elm Drive, January 11th. Witnesses reported seeing one person running away from the scene. According to investigators, the police air support unit was used to track the suspect, who was seen discarding bags which contained fentanyl, cocaine, and meth. The drugs have an estimated street value of $200,000.
The future of 30 belugas currently living at Marineland appears to be brighter today after the government gave the conditional go-ahead to their transfer. We'll tell you where they might be headed coming up. But first, a sign of hope for transit riders amid word the problem-plagued Eglinton Crosstown LRT is finally due to open in less than 2 weeks.
Sources tell CTV News the long-delayed line, which is $1 billion over budget, will open February 8th. CTV's Allison Hurst is along the route. So, Allison, how are people reacting to this news?
Nathan, a lot of people are pretty thrilled to hear that they've got a date for when the Eglinton Crosstown is set to open, but some of them are still skeptical and unsure whether they can believe it. The over-budget late Eglinton Crosstown is getting ready to open in about a week and a half.
I am so excited. It'll be in Scarborough and it'll be so easy to travel everywhere.
Construction began on the transit line in 2010. Originally slated to open in 2020, it was delayed over and over again, with costs ballooning to $1 billion over budget.
At this point, I don't believe anything about that system. 2020, $1 billion over, and they kept promising it's going to open September, October. Now they're promising February.
No, we've been waiting for a long time, and that's how many years now? 14, 15 years? No, that's a long, long time.
Transportation Minister Pravit Sakaria says the Eglinton line has been thoroughly tested and that it's a much different system than the Finch West LRT that has been hampered with challenges.
Our teams are working with the TTC on this to ensure that we have seamless operations, that they're working through any challenges or any opportunities that we've learned from Finch and that we can relay to ECLRT as well.
Metrolink CEO Michael Lindsay says the system performed well during the snowstorm on December 15th and 16th.
Kilometers, the Eglinton Crosstown is underground. That means it's less exposed to the Canadian winter. We also have the lived experience of what Eglinton as a system has been able to do for the last 2 months.
Transit users in this area are ready to see it open.
Very convenient for the Eglinton line.
Very useful, and we can go office very quickly.
Yeah, I think it's been long waited, so hopefully it does open on the 8th and people are going to be able to enjoy it.
A source tells CTV News that the long-delayed Crosstown will open February 8th, and the province has not disputed that date. And Mayor Olivia Chow was asked about this at a news conference earlier this morning, where she says that it's about time that we see it open. And for residents and the businesses in this area, she expects it's going to revitalize it and bring customers back. Reporting live, I'm Allison Hurst. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Allison. And a heads up for subway riders, service on Line 1 will end at 11 tonight between Finch and Eglinton Station. This early closure will run through Thursday for planned tunnel work. Shuttle buses will run instead, with regular service resuming at 6 in the morning.
Well, it's far from ideal biking weather out there, but this next story involves a group of Toronto cyclists who were stopped at a light when they were hit by a car, and Toronto police charged them instead of the driver. As CTV's John Woodward reports, they're filing a complaint accusing the police of wasting scarce resources in the justice system.
This bike party rolls through Toronto streets every Thursday night in the summer with a well-lit group of cyclists that call themselves the Neon Riders.
Bicycles, lights, fun, that's what our rides are all about.
Organizer Steve De Silva says the dozens of riders aren't making a point, they're just using the roads and bike lanes.
We very rarely get any altercations with cars, and if anything, when we pass by, people look at us in awe and they cheer us on.
In August of 2024, one of those altercations was caught on video. The driver of that blue car appears to hit several riders stopped at a light.
What she did was extremely dangerous. It could have very seriously injured our riders or even killed someone.
De Silva said he called 911. Toronto police arrived, spoke with the driver, and charged two of the cyclists who were hit with uttering threats.
We were all in shock about this.
Of course, video evidence didn't show this.
Biking lawyer David Shellnut fought the charges for a year and a half as they wound through the courts. They were recently dropped. Shellnut now filing a complaint.
You have a year of spent resources on a case that should have been there shouldn't have been any charges laid if the police had done their job.
Ontario's Ministry of Attorney General didn't respond to questions from CTV News. Toronto police said in a statement they charged the cyclist after speaking to a witness and the complainant, and decisions to withdraw or stay charges are made by prosecutors and can happen for a variety of reasons. A withdrawal doesn't mean there weren't grounds to lay the charges at the time. Statistics show Ontario's courts are under increasing strain. In the category of charges that includes uttering threats, police filed tens of thousands more charges last year than they did 10 years ago. And tens of thousands more charges are being withdrawn.
The riders who did nothing wrong and who got hit were the ones who were punished. So that obviously leaves a very, very bad taste in the mouth of a lot of our riders, but it's not going to stop us from having fun. De
Silva says their bike party will roll again in the spring. John Woodward, CTV News.
Former Canadian Olympic snowboarder Ryan Wedding pleaded not guilty during his first court appearance. The former FBI fugitive is charged with running a billion-dollar drug trafficking network and orchestrating multiple killings. He was indicted back in 2024. Wedding faces separate drug charges in Canada that date back to 2015. He's due back in court February 11th.
The White House is changing its approach to immigration enforcement in Minnesota. The head of Border Patrol is expected to leave today and be replaced by Border Czar Tom Homan. Gregory Bovino's departure was a, quote, mutual decision between him and the White House, but he's not been removed from his duties. Yesterday, U.S. President Donald Trump spoke to Minnesota governor and the Minneapolis mayor about the operation and the potential of reducing the amount of federal agents in the state. The mayor and Trump agreed that the present situation can't continue. He is scheduled to meet with Homan today.
In Italy, a massive cleanup will be required following a large landslide on the island of Sicily. Local authorities say the natural disaster has forced more than 1,500 people from their homes. Now, the landslide happened Sunday night, but continued to spread throughout Monday. The deputy mayor says they're dealing with a challenging 4-kilometer front.
Today is International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Survivors visited the Auschwitz concentration camp memorial site to commemorate the 81st anniversary of the liberation of the Nazi camp. The former prisoners laid flowers and wreaths at the execution wall, also known as the Wall of Death, where German forces fatally shot thousands of people. About 6 million Jews were killed by the Nazis during the Holocaust.
Ottawa is boosting the GST credit as part of some new affordability measures. Prime Minister Carney making the announcement in Ottawa yesterday. Now, we're joined by CTV's Scott Hurst in the national newsroom with more on this. So, Scott, this grocery rebate, how much can we actually get?
Nathan, good afternoon. The Liberals are ultimately saying this could impact some 12 million Canadians. So let's break down ultimately what this could mean for so many of us who go to the grocery store and look at the final bill and wonder how it adds up so quickly. And ultimately, the big question, where does that money go? Focus on affordability for the Liberals really to kick off this new session of Parliament, the top issue for Canadians, particularly as it pertains to food, as we've consistently seen food prices rising faster than other goods. So here's what we know from the announcement. According to the Liberals, they're promising to pay back hundreds of dollars more a year to low and moderate income Canadians, saying 12 million people will benefit from these changes, taking the GST credit and raising it by 25% overall for 5 years, plus a one-time payment this year. So breaking down the numbers, here's what it means. The average family of 4, according to the Liberals, will get back nearly $2,000 this year, and then $1,400 each of the following years. That is for a family of 4, according to the breakdown. And now for a single person, it could mean just shy of $1,000 this year and $700 after that, Nathan.
All right, so the opposition criticizing this, calling it a temporary fix. Will it really make a difference for Canadians?
The opposition criticizing it, but ultimately saying they won't stand in the way and will let it pass. But part of the opposition argument is that this is a big, flashy announcement that was made in a grocery store yesterday, really for not a whole lot of money back. The Conservatives, as we've seen for the past couple of years, too, have been hyper-focused on affordability concerns. So they say that they will allow this measure to pass, Nathan, but are adamant no additional spending is attached to it.
All right, CTV's Scott Hurst in the CTV National Newsroom. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan.
Marineland has been granted conditional approval for the export of its remaining beluga whales to the U.S. The federal fisheries minister met with representatives of the shuttered Niagara Falls theme park. Joanne Thompson says she will issue final permits once Marineland provides more information. It presented what it called an urgent rescue solution to Ottawa last week to keep the 30 belugas alive. There have been earlier reports about a plan to ship the whales and 4 dolphins to 4 American aquariums, perhaps in Chicago, Atlanta, Connecticut, and SeaWorld, which has several locations. Marineland says it is grateful to the government for prioritizing the lives of these remarkable marine mammals. Prime Minister Mark Carney says he is standing by his comments at the World Economic Forum after U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent claimed he was walking them back. CTV's Annie Bergeron Oliver joins us live now with more on this. And Annie, let's start with the PM today. The U.S. saying he walked back his comments from Davos, but that's not the case.
That's right. So Scott Bessent yesterday said that that Canada aggressively walked back their comments in a conversation with the U.S. president. But today, Carney was asked specifically, did he do that? He said no. He said that he still stands behind what he said in Davos. And Carney said that that's exactly what he told Donald Trump. Here's a clip of what the Prime Minister said when asked about Secretary Bessent's comments.
To be absolutely clear, and I said this to the president, I meant what I said in Davos. It was clear, it was a broader set of issues, that Canada was the first country to understand the change in U.S. trade policy that he had initiated, and we're responding to that. We're responding positively by building partnerships abroad, we're responding positively by building at home, and we're prepared to respond positively by building that new relationship through CUSMA.
So the Prime Minister is confirming that a call happened between him and the U.S. President yesterday. He said that it was a good conversation. They talked about this new trade arrangement with Beijing, in which many of the really punishing agriculture tariffs on things like canola and seafood will be removed in exchange for Canada allowing electric vehicles, 49,000 Chinese EVs, to come into Canada. He said he also told the U.S. President that Canada intends to do trade deals with a number of other countries over the next 6 months. And Carney said that Trump was impressed by that. So right now, Michelle, we're really at a he said, he said. It's the U.S. President's Treasury Secretary is saying that Canada walked back their comments. And Mr. Carney, the Prime Minister, is saying he didn't do that at all. So now we just are left with a lot of questions about what exactly happened in that phone call.
Meanwhile, Carney paid a visit to Toronto yesterday to have lunch with Premier Doug Ford, some pizza. And we know that Doug Ford was very vocal, not liking that deal with China, specifically what it has to do for the auto sector here in Ontario. Tell us more about this meeting and why it's critical for these two to be on the same page.
Well, the meeting supposedly lasted about 45 minutes, and a range of topics were discussed, including this deal with Beijing, which initially Doug Ford said was a terrible deal, that it would come at the expense of auto workers in Ontario and in Canada. And now it sort of seems like he's done a 360. Yesterday at this pizza shop, he said that, you know, the two are sort of like brothers and sisters, that sometimes you're going to have disagreements, but 99% of the time you're going to get along. He talked about there's a Team Canada approach and that we're all on the same side of this. So it seems like the two leaders were able to have some discussions and solve some of their issues, or at least they're publicly deciding that they're going to stay on the same page here. And well, why does this matter? Well, we know that the U.S. president has before taken to Truth Social to sort of highlight some of these differences, perhaps, if you want to call that, between the different leaders. And we've seen this Team Canada approach before. You know, a year ago when there was this 51st state, we saw a lot of a Team Canada approach is necessary, that the premiers and the Prime Minister need to be strong and appear strong together in the face of the U.S. threats. And so this is sort of what we're seeing again, the same messaging coming from the U.S., from the Ontario Premier yesterday. So it does seem like the two leaders are on side right now. The industry minister was in town yesterday in the Ontario legislature talking about an auto task force that the Ontario government and the federal government will be working together to ensure their priorities are aligned to help ensure that any Chinese EVs or Chinese companies that come into Canada are prioritizing the use of Ontario workers. So it does again seem like the two leaders are in line, at least very publicly. Who knows if things are slightly different behind closed doors in private, but publicly it seems like they're aligned and taking this sort of Team Canada approach, which is very different than what we were seeing of a very critical Doug Ford just last week.
Wanted us to see them bonding over pizza. Yes, CTV's Annie Bergeron Oliver live for us in Ottawa. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Michelle.
Former Liberal cabinet minister and MP for Etobicoke North, Kirsty Duncan, has died. Duncan was the MP for the riding from 2008 until 2025 and had served in cabinet as Minister of Sport, Science and Persons with Disabilities. She had previously disclosed a years-long battle with cancer and announced last year she would not run for re-election. Former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau posted on X this afternoon that he is heartbroken by the loss. Kirsty Duncan was 59.
Spending time outside this time of year requires the appropriate gear. Layers are going to be key. Frostbite can happen very quickly when we have wind chill values into that double-digit range. We are out of the cold warning here in the city, but it doesn't mean we're escaping the frigid temperature. So be careful when you're spending any time outside, especially if you work outside. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast, and we'll talk about the long range and the return to more seasonal weather. That's coming up after the break.
All right, to the forecast. A lot of us back at work. Kids are back at school, just navigating around the snow.
Not a lot of parking anywhere these days because you've got the snow taking up basically a lane of traffic. And then along with all these mounds, just you have this cold and the wind, and I'm sure it's not too comfortable out there.
Listen, I'm layered up like an onion or like your favorite 7-layer dip. You have to have layers on to be outside to make it even sort of possible. So for the kiddos heading off to school, if they do have outdoor recess, extra layers are going to be key. I don't have good news when it comes to the temperatures. We don't see a return to seasonal for quite some time. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. Now, the good news is we are out of that warning criteria when it comes to the cold here in the city, but it doesn't mean we escape it. -11 right now, and it feels every single one of those -20 wind chill degrees, and it is going to be chilly as we head throughout the rest of our afternoon. Temperature-wise, again, we're nowhere near seasonal. We're still looking at those snow squall watches and warnings along those eastern shorelines of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay, thanks to some troughs pushing that snow. So the last system, the last major storm, that went the opposite direction. That brought a lot of snow to the GTA. This one, more so for Lake Huron and Georgian Bay, and that wind chill is wicked as you head towards London, Goderich, Hamilton, and Niagara. Now, temperature-wise, again, we are sitting kind of in that -8 range as we head into the afternoon, so it's warmer, but it still isn't warm. We're still well below seasonal. It will feel like -17 this afternoon in a good portion of southern Ontario, and that mid -10 to -20 range with the wind chills. Tonight, -15, feeling like -23. And when we have wind chills this wicked, frostbite can happen very quickly. I know there's a lot of very brave runners out there. I wish you all the best, but make sure you are layering up accordingly if you have to spend any time outdoors. No major systems to speak of, but again, we are still dealing with lake effect snow, and that's going to be the story as we head through the majority of our week. Bit of a clipper system moves its way through, but behind it, again, that trough, that blue dotted line there, that's going to bring all that snow along those eastern shorelines. Again, Lake Huron, Georgian Bay, the GTA seeing some of it, but as we head throughout our afternoon, just brief bursts of snow. We could see maybe 5 centimeters as we head in towards the evening, but really and truly the bulk of the snow heading towards our friends in Owen Sound and out towards Barrie. Getting into the morning tomorrow, cool and very sunny. The cloud cover rolls in midday, and then again, if you're towards Parry Sound, Owen Sound, you are getting the bulk of the snow as we head throughout the day tomorrow and in towards the end of the week as well. The good news is, and I promise there's good news, at least we have some sunshine in our forecast, but it ain't going to be warm sunshine. As we head into the day tomorrow, that -10 for the daytime high, feeling like -18. Again, getting yourself ready for work and school, getting the kids ready, layers are key. Also letting your car run if you can for a little while before you get going. And a reminder to make sure all the snow is out of your tailpipe and at home, clear of some of those vents. We want to make sure we are safe as we head through these cold winter months. As we head in towards our Friday, we start, I don't want to say a warm-up, but at least we're getting towards a more seasonal point and heading into the weekend. The final few days of January, we will start to see a bit of a changeover. We get to -6 as we head in towards Sunday. Lots of sunshine out there. Yes, it is still cold, but we are inching towards seasonal. Heading in towards Monday, we get in towards Groundhog Day, and we're looking at a very seasonal day for the first time in a while. So we just have to get through this cold stretch. But that cold air, that polar vortex still sits over a great portion of the country. Southern Ontario, Central Ontario, Eastern Ontario, Northern Ontario, everybody gets a dose of the cold. So as we head throughout the day today, consider that wind chill as you make your way outside. Exposed skin can freeze very, very quickly. We have frostbite, frost nip, it doesn't matter. Layers are going to be key. As you head throughout the rest of the week, it doesn't get better. So as you're making your way out, if you have all the extra gear, I advise you to pack all of it, wear all of it. Hopefully this helps you plan. Nathan, Michelle, I'll send things back inside.
Fabulous advice. Thank you, Jess. CUPE is demanding Queen's Park increase hospital funding as the union warns of longer wait times and declining quality of care.
What is the government thinking? And how could it make promises like to reduce surgical wait times or to end hallway medicine, or say that it values the work of healthcare workers, or that it understands the key role that hospitals play in their communities, when its plan is to systematically force these hospitals to cut their budgets. This year, their 2.36% funding increase pales in the shadow of their 6% increase in operating costs.
CUPE says there will be more than 10,000 job losses and a reduction of 2,400 hospital beds.
A heads up for those who might enjoy pizza pops. You might want to check your freezers. A recall announced during the holidays over possible E. coli contamination has expanded. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency says several varieties are affected, including 3 cheese, pepperoni and bacon, deluxe, and 3 meat. General Mills, which makes pizza pops, says it's working with retailers to remove potentially affected products and urges consumers to throw out items or return them to the store for a refund.
A new study suggests the shingles vaccine may help prevent or delay the onset of dementia more effectively than any existing treatment. The study was published in Lancet Neurology and led by researchers at McMaster University and Stanford. It analyzed health data over a 5.5-year period for more than 250,000 Ontario seniors. Researchers say the cohort that was eligible for the free vaccine based on their age had a lower probability of receiving a new dementia diagnosis by an absolute difference of 2% compared to the group ineligible for the vaccine. Experts say the difference works out to about 2 fewer dementia cases per 100 people. Just ahead this noon hour, beware of social media posts offering stock tips. They could be connected to pump and dump scams. CTV's Pat Foran speaks with a man who lost more than $250,000. A warning about an online scam where criminals create fake websites and forums using logos from real financial institutions promising big returns.
However, as CTV's Pat Foran reports, they're actually operating what's called a pump and dump fraud.
So when you moved your money into Wealthsimple, how quickly did this ad pop up on Instagram?
Almost immediately after.
Israel Clyde of Richmond Hill had his investments with a major Canadian bank, but recently, due to a promotion, he decided to move his funds to Wealthsimple. The transfer went smoothly. After he made the switch, he was on Instagram when he saw a Wealthsimple offer to take part in an online trading platform on how to make money in the stock market.
Those ads had the Wealthsimple name and the logo. It looked legitimate from Wealthsimple.
Clyde says the trading group suggested he buy a stock. He did, and within days, he doubled his money.
I sold the stock, but actually made $14,000 on this transaction. So I was like, oh, well.
Clyde felt the advice must be trustworthy, so he made a much larger investment. But this time, things went bad fast.
As soon as I bought it on that day, 5 minutes later, the stock tanked. It went from $1.68 US to 10 cents at the time. And I just panicked.
He was caught in a pump and dump scam and lost $260,000. When he tried to contact the forum again, it was shut down.
Tried to get into the group chat. Everything was gone. Like the phone numbers looked like they just were erased.
Wealthsimple told CTV News. Wealthsimple reported more than 10,000 fraudulent ads to Meta, and we're only one of many financial institutions fighting this issue. Wealthsimple will never recommend specific stocks or securities to buy. To avoid pump and dump scams, don't listen to social media investment tips or hype through online forums. Be concerned if there is limited company information, promises of guaranteed returns, or unusual trading spikes or dips. Losing $260,000 means he now has to rethink his retirement plans.
For 2 weeks, I wasn't able to sleep. It was very upsetting, very upsetting.
Pat.
That was Pat Foran reporting. Touch Bistro has released its inaugural 2026 Canadian State of Restaurants report. The report surveyed 600 independent full-service restaurants across the country. 79% of operators saw an increase in visits last year, while 37% reported spending more on food costs due to the impact of tariffs. 7 in 10 have raised menu prices in the past year, and 94% are spending more on labor costs.
3 of the world's biggest tech companies are facing a landmark trial this week. Meta, TikTok, and YouTube are accused of deliberately harming children and getting them addicted to their sites. In the first jury trial of its kind, the companies will answer to charges they contributed to the youth mental health crisis. The companies dispute the claims, citing numerous safeguards they've added over the years. They also maintain they aren't liable for content posted on their sites by third parties. Jury selection starts this week in the Los Angeles Superior Court. Still to come, a big morning for Justin Bieber. Juno nominations have been announced, and Stratford's own is leading the way. We'll tell you who else is up for Canada's top music prize after the break.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
The Leafs will look to snap their 4-game losing streak hosting the Sabres tonight.
Picked off and brought back by Brock Nelson. Nelson moves it and shoots, scores!
The Buzz have lost all 4 games on their current homestand, being outscored 18-8. They are 6 points out of a wild card spot. Meanwhile, the Sabres have won 3 straight. Puck drop tonight is set for just after 7 at Scotiabank Arena. And Leafs forward William Nylander has been issued a $5,000 fine after a camera caught the injured forward giving an inappropriate gesture from the press box during Sunday's game. Nylander has since issued an apology.
Yeah, sitting there, I got a text message. I was like, oh, not a good idea. Not a good thing to do. But yeah, like I said, I apologize about that.
Who was the finger directed?
I just frustration, just pointed at it. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I just pointed at it. I was frustrated.
The Leafs ended up losing the game against the league-leading Colorado Avalanche 4-1.
A pair of men in Edmonton say the hit Crave show, Heated Rivalry, is giving a product they created a decade ago new life.
They've seen a resurgence in sales for Pride Tape, a colorful piece of hockey equipment meant to promote inclusion on the ice. CTV's Nicole Lampa has the story.
Chris Wells and Jeff McLean opened the door a decade ago, introducing hockey to rolls of rainbow-colored tape.
Pride Tape came out of a research question I had 10 years ago, was why are young gay male and bisexual boys dropping out of organized team sports at much younger ages than their heterosexual cisgender peers?
The Edmonton Oilers were the first in the NHL to support the initiative. Soon after, the rest in the league asked for rolls. Then Pride Tape's makers had to stick-handle the NHL's short-lived attempt to ban it 2 years ago and briefly saw a jump in sales. Now they've scored in the international market, with orders coming in at an unprecedented level. Thanks to the worldwide success of Heated Rivalry, a fictional Canadian gay romance show about star hockey players.
We've actually been seeing sales follow the trend of where the show is going. We're seeing more tape being sold at a time, and we're seeing it more globally.
They say sales are up 40%, recently receiving 3 bulk orders from Germany and sending boxes to UK's Elite Ice Hockey League for Pride Week.
We see a lot of players using it in warm-up, and then a lot of teams will also tape the top of the goalie stick and use that in the game as well. So we're hoping to see it used a lot.
The makers of Pride Tape are also hoping to see it used in the hit show.
We're in conversation with the folks at Crave about partnerships. Who knows, maybe in season 2, Pride Tape might make its debut in an episode.
The pair also hope the mission they set out on 10 years ago doesn't go away.
Despite having Pride Tape, we still don't have an NHL athlete, player, present or even in the past that has come out.
Nicole Lampa, CTV News, Edmonton.
A new trailer is out from the upcoming Muppets reboot.
Oh my God, it's you!
You're my idol.
You're sweet. Go on.
I grew up watching you. My parents grew up watching you. Their parents grew up watching you.
The remake will include the show's mainstays like Kermit, Miss Piggy, and Fozzie. It was produced by Canada's own Seth Rogen and stars Sabrina Carpenter. The Muppets special starts streaming on February 4th.
The nominees for the British Academy Film Awards were revealed this morning. Paul Thomas Anderson's action thriller One Battle After Another is the frontrunner, securing 14 BAFTA nominations. Ryan Coogler's vampire epic Sinners is close behind with 13 nods. Other top contenders are Chloe Zhao's Hamnet and Josh Safdie's Ping Pong Odyssey Marty Supreme with 11 apiece. The winners will be announced at a February 22nd ceremony in London, hosted by actor Alan Cumming.
The 55th annual Juno Awards will be held in Hamilton next month.
After an announcement this morning, we now know who the nominees are. CTV's Andrea Case reports.
Do backflips.
He may have first caught our attention when Kamloops, BC's Cameron Whitcomb auditioned on American Idol, but now he is a Juno nominee. Yep, he is no quitter. The first-time nominee heard his name 5 times this morning, including for Breakthrough Artist of the Year and TD Fan Choice Award, as well as Country Album of the Year. But leading the pack, Justin Bieber is an 8-time Juno winner already, but never has he had 6 Juno nominations in 1 year. His single Daisies is up for Single of the Year off the album Swag 2. He will also vie for Artist of the Year. Could Tate McRae be any hotter? The former Calgary-born dancer tied the Biebs with 6 nominations. Best Single, Sports Car kicked off her Album of the Year contender, So Close to What. Daniel Caesar already has been announced as a performer, and he may pick up a Juno this year. He is nominated for 4 trophies, as is The Weeknd. The Junos will be hosted by comedian, actor, and singer Mae Martin from the TD Coliseum in Hamilton on March 29th. Andrea Case, CTV News.
Coming up, meet the filmmaker from the prairies making movies designed for phone viewing and allowing audiences to have a say in the plot. Stay with us. A Saskatchewan filmmaker is using a vertical lens to showcase his new movie so people can watch from their phones.
He's also allowing viewers to have a say on the plot of the film. CTV's Sierra D'Souza Butts explains.
It's a movie on your phone where you get to choose the plot.
So then you get call your ex or call your sister.
Regina filmmaker Aaron Sinclair's short film, called Singleness, lets the audience decide the outcome of different scenes throughout the film using options on their mobile device.
The interactive aspect is on the ChooseWise app, and as you're watching the film, you get to choose what you think the character should do next, and you'll be presented with different options, and depending on what you choose will change kind of how the story plays out.
The production follows an international trend where filmmakers are starting to use vertical storytelling, also known as microdrama format, in their short films, allowing people to watch movies the way they naturally hold their phones.
There's a lot of projects that are shifting into this microdrama format. We see companies like Disney and Fox looking into the microdrama format as well.
Adding, the industry is shifting on how people consume content.
We're getting a little bit away from the more traditional type of storytelling into this new format, simply because folks are scrolling and we want to keep their attention span.
Although the app to watch the film is based in the U.S., Sinclair says he takes pride in shooting and casting the entire movie locally.
It's really great kind of working with Saskatchewan talent to make something like this. I think that we can offer this sort of like production value here that if you were doing the same production value in LA, it would just cost so much more. It'd be so much harder to do, but people are just excited to be a part of something cool here.
Already working on his next production, Sinclair says it's an exciting time to be a Saskatchewan filmmaker. Sierra D'Souza Butts, CTV News, Regina.
Well, certainly it's cold today. The warning's been dropped, but we've got the cold weather mixed with a little sprinkling of flurries there, Jess.
We do. The lake effect snow machine isn't going anywhere as we head throughout the afternoon. So although we aren't seeing the bulk of the snowfall this time around, it doesn't mean we escape it. And we are out of that wind chill warning, as you mentioned, but it is still wickedly cold outside. So consider that when you make any plans outside. Maybe you're heading out to go skating. There are a number of free rinks around the city and the GTA, but layers are going to be important. Minus 11 right now here in the city, feeling like minus 20. We're at minus 11 through Hamilton as well. That big push of cold air not moving its way out of Ontario anytime soon. We don't really see a return to a more seasonal forecast until the beginning of next week. But we do step into the final few days of January with a frigid daytime high and overnight low for almost the majority of the week. We're looking at minus 15 tonight, again feeling much colder than that into our day on Wednesday. We mark the middle of the week with, you guessed it, more frigid temperatures. That chance of flurries not going anywhere as we head in towards your Thursday. We don't really see a full break until Friday. We get that high pressure back into our forecast. Lots of sunshine out there, but it doesn't start to warm up until we head into the first few days of February. And by warm up, I just mean back to seasonal. By no means are we getting any warmer than what is going to be about minus 3 into the beginning of next week. So as you plan your weekend and you want to spend some time outside, go for it, but make sure you're doing it safely with all of the layers. They're going to be important. I'll send things back inside.
All right, no doubt. Thank you, Jess. And that's it for CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and the whole team here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6.